Is there no pushover? That's sure. That's for sure. I think you're going to get a pissed off bunch of Green Wave folks too. And I think this is a good comment here as well. All right. First and foremost, yes, Mars Jams, we are 2-0.
Yep.
And everything is still in front of Oklahoma, Coach. Everything's still in front of them. You're certainly not getting what you are looking for at the moment. But as Rob is saying here, our last national championship included 2 wins while scoring less than 16 points. The 12-7 win against Oklahoma Light, Okie Light, and 13-2 Florida State. Stay positive, my friends. We have a defense. Now, we've been kind of saying this. I talked to Bishop Frank, which welcome into the show, Bishop Frank. Yes, you better be more pissed, Cole. Welcome into the show. But something that Bishop Frank and I kind of talked about a little bit was the fact that just what we were hearing there was that if you go back and you think about 2000, you had the game against A&M that they squeaked by.
Yep.
Right. Yep. There seemed to have been a couple of other ones that they just kind of found a way to get through.
K-State.
Because that's kind of what you got to do, right? Go ahead.
No, I was just saying K-State.
K-State as well. Yeah, no doubt.
2 times that season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, to me, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and I think that if you go back to even just 2 years ago when TCU got into obviously TCU got dog walked when they got there.
Yeah.
But if you remember the middle of the year that they had like this 8-game streak of, just where they were having to come back all the time, right? Started with Oklahoma State and it just kind of kept going on. And no matter what happened, I mean, it seems like Oklahoma State, they were down what? I think it was like 35-14 or something, and they came back.
Like that.
Or they were down 17 anyway. I know they were down 17 to K-State as well. They didn't get down in the Texas game, but I think that's one of the few TCU games that they didn't get down in. It seems like every other game they were losing at some point, except for that one in the Oklahoma game.
Yeah.
And at some point, you just kind of get to where you believe. Now, you are a offensive guy by trade whenever you were as a coach, right?
Yeah.
And I think that that's probably what I would be. I'm not a coach, but I mean, definitely more of an offensive leaning guy, reading defenses, doing stuff like that. That was kind of something what we always did.
Yeah.
What I would tell you is that I believe there's a couple of things I'd like to see happen with Jackson Arnold. I don't think it's time to pull the plug. And I'm a huge fan of Michael Hawkins, but I am not going to sit here and tell you that the answer is to take out the guy with no experience and add a guy with less experience to the mix right now.
No, you don't do that. You ride with Jackson, because if you take Jackson out, I believe you said it last night, you might lose him mentally.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to, when we've had 2 great quarterbacks, Caleb, and then we had Spencer. But Spencer had his own little demons on the side to where people didn't really like him off the field because he was kind of an arrogant person. I think Michael Hawkins, and then you have Jackson Arnold. I think Jackson, man, is who we're going to have to ride with, because if you bring Michael in, and let's say Michael does do well, now you're going to have to hear it from the fans. We have a quarterback controversy, which we don't.
Right.
So,
and my thing is that when it comes to the way that you handle that, and we kind of talked about this a little bit last weekend, this is not yet, and I think you're right. I don't think that you want to come into having a situation where if it gets to a point, and like Gabe and Teddy were talking about on the Oklahoma breakdown, and Gabe is probably a little harsher on people than a lot of most people are, and I would say that Teddy similarly with the defensive side of the ball, right? But Gabe was like, look, he's got to play better, and I don't disagree with that. By the way, he does have to play better. What I would tell you is that as I was about to say a few minutes ago, Sooner Cowboys wants everybody to think it's just the offensive line is shit. And I think you can go back and look at the game, and you know that was not the problem the other night. It was not the problem. They gave him time.
I watched that game 4 times, man, and I try to look at everything from the outside. As fans, we look at things one way, and we look at the whole picture of the TV and say, "Oh, so and so." But when you have knowledge of watching and what you look for in the offensive line, is everybody moving the right way? Is everybody going in the right direction? Who missed an assignment? Who did this? There were a lot of assignments that were missed that I looked at, and I'm like, damn, okay, I didn't see that in the ball game, because when you're watching live TV, they only show you the play and then they get ready for the next play, but you can't rewind and fast forward and rewind and see assignments that were missed. There were some assignments that were missed, but Jackson ran out of the pocket a lot of times when he didn't have to. And when you do that, now the offensive line doesn't, they don't see you behind. They don't know what you're doing. So when you run out of the pocket, now that increases the chances of holding, that increases the getting sacked. Now the receivers have to go off their ran assignment to try to get open to help you out. So it makes everything just go discombobulated, where now you have to try to figure out, let's just make a play. And you don't have to do that. So that's what I saw last night on some of these games, on some of these footages, some of these assignments, that Jackson just ran out of the pocket. And once he did that, everything just went to crap.
Right. You can only run when you have an offensive line there, and it's never as good as you think. It's never as bad. Well, you can only run when you have an offensive line there. That's true. And I know what okay. You were saying that because they need to put Hawkins in as a runner. See, again, I think that we're all searching for answers. Right. Yeah. You want to go get the guy hurt. It's the thing. That's the whole thing, is you start running these guys. Design runs are great and everything, but if you're not getting them down, and then as we saw the other day, you don't even have a guarantee that when they kneel or slide or anything like that, that they're not going to get hit. And whether there's a penalty there or you kick the guy out of the game, you still lose your quarterback there if they get hurt.
Yeah.
And that goes for Jackson. That goes for Hawkins. Here's what I'll tell you. And this is what I had to say to somebody the other day when it comes to this situation. To me, first off, I don't believe that you have to, it's not time to throw the baby out with the bathwater here. Okay. They're not exactly playing great when it comes to offensive side of the ball. I get it. Right. I get it. But I would tell you that there's times that it kind of takes a little while. And if we've seen it every year, that especially with these, since the transfer portal got to really cooking, that the offensive line has been a work in progress for the first 3-4 weeks of the season. And the other thing would be that but we saw that, I think Sooner Brandon was the one that said it a few minutes ago on Twitter, though. Sooner Brandon said, look, what I saw was a player that was, trying to press a little bit. But I saw that the offensive line was considerably better, just like it always is, from game 1 to 2. And it'll be a little better from game 2 to 3. It feels like they're getting a little bit more healthy in that room.
Yeah.
I think we may have been talking about it on your show last night. I would like to see them maybe get a little more treatment during the week and play on the weekend. Yeah. And work that out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're gonna keep them out of something, let's keep them out of practice maybe a little bit. Not the whole week, but
if I have guys that are injured or banged up and I know what they can do, I let them miss a couple of practices, because you know what you're going to get out of that person.
Sure.
That's when I let the subs come in or the backups come in and they'll run with the ones. So if we need them in the games, they're prepared. I think what's happening, man, that I said a little podcast this morning, is that we don't have 2,382 yards of receptions. We don't have the 18 touchdowns. And above all, we don't have the leadership. You got Andrew Anthony out. You got Jaleel Farouk out. Nick hasn't played. And then you lost Jaden Gibson. So we had this perception in the fall that OU was going to be this great, great offense. But
Right.
when you take away those key pieces, now everyone is keying in on Deion Burks and is forcing other guys to make the plays. So once we get those guys back, then it's going to be pick your poison because you can't double Deion because you got Nick on the outside. And
Right.
then
We hadn't seen any of that yet.
we
Right.
haven't seen, and then we haven't even mentioned Byron Sharp and everything, or Roberts. So you have so many weapons, and no one wants to say this. I'll say it. Last two games, the defense has played what I want to call cutthroat. We're going to live and die by the blitz. We can't stop you. We can't stop the run and the pass because if you get going on both of them, we can't stay in the game. So we're going to blitz and blitz and blitz and blitz and make your quarterback make a decision. Against SEC teams coming up, they're not going to do that. They're not going to blitz, 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 blitz. I'm just telling you, they're not going to do it. So we'll see. We'll see.
No, I agree. And I think getting back to what we were kind of just talking about, though, and I mean, where I'm at as far as the whole Michael Hawkins thing is concerned, and it's this. I think that he needs to play. I think he needs to play, but I think that he needs to play within the parameters that Brent Venables said they want him to play last week after the Temple game, right? Right after the Temple game. He said, and because I think that there should be a few series or situations kind of based on whether it's timing or the flow of the game or something that the coaches have seen during the week of film and all that other stuff that dictates you get him into the game. And I'm not talking about in a bulldozer situation down in the red zone or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying.
Passing the ball.
Or only when they're running a certain scheme that they're trying to get, and it's not doing well for Jackson. I don't think that that's the way that you want to do this. I think that you have to, and I want to get your opinion on this, but hear me out real quick.
Okay.
I believe you want to have a specific game plan based on what you've seen from film, right? And throughout your preparation leading up to the game. That's looking, because you want to add in, and it has to be, they can run, it could be any set. It could be anything from the playbook that Jackson runs. And maybe you change something as simple as the motion. Maybe you change something as simple as what's his first primary read. Because with Arnold, what they're looking for with Jackson Arnold, and the reason I'm trying to do this is that you want to do this so that, maybe you confuse him a little bit, even just a little bit. And with his speed, and he's got a great arm. He's, from everything you hear, it's not just that he's fast. And Lori, you were talking about speed and stuff like that. I don't think it has a whole lot to do with speed.
No.
I think he's fast, and that brings you another element. The same way that Kyler kind of changed things from Baker to him. Baker was great running out of the pocket and making a play like playground style, and but he was always moving to throw. If he was leaving the pocket, he was always doing it to pick up a couple of yards, but more times than not, he was looking to get the ball downfield somewhere and waiting for somebody to get open, which I don't have necessarily a problem with if the pocket is breaking down, particularly when you're as small as Baker was. But I'm not saying it needs to be a red zone thing. I don't say it's only for this, or I don't want you to do it in a gimmick. But I do want to see them kind of make it to where he has an entire package. Let's say he's going to run a certain couple of formations, any of two formations, and then you call plays according to what you're getting a couple of times a half. Maybe it's once in the first half and a couple of times in the second half, but you have a specific idea of what it is that you want to do to catch the other team off guard, make them have to plan for more than just that. But I think that if you just change a little bit in something that they do, right? Maybe make the read your primary read and what you kind of have your progression stem from, because maybe it's better than it's something better. I think it does two things if you do that, though. First of all, with his arm strength and the speed that goes with it, you're going to have a couple of different types of weapons and something that you just make them think about a little bit, right? The other thing, if they elicit a certain adjustment by that defense and it changes things up compared to what you would have had with Jackson in, then chances are you can go in there and make a big play at that point in the game. Now, when he diagnoses these adjustments and makes the correct play based on that diagnosis, I would tell you that now you have probably entered a lot of confidence into the system of Michael Hawkins.
Yep.
Not only that, you're going to learn what he does well, what he doesn't. And you could do this throughout the season because I've already said I don't think the red shirt means shit here. It doesn't. They don't care anything about it. He doesn't care anything about it. You want to go and play. But you also learn a little more of the playbook every week. And if and when the time comes that you have to replace Jackson Arnold because he gets injured or he's ineffective, you can do that. And he is not just that you're not just hoping now that he can go in there and do it. You've already seen it.
Yeah.
The other thing is Jackson won't be looking over his shoulder in that situation every time that he makes a mistake because he already expects that this is going to happen a couple of times a game. He already knows it's coming. He'll learn to accept it. He'll embrace the strategy for what it is, which is really just something else for a defense to have to deal with. And at this point right now, when we're seeing them being as anemic as they are on offense, you kind of would go for anything. But I think that you could help Jackson a little bit without making him think that he's about to get pulled out, if you get what I mean. What do you think about that?
No, I think that's right. While you were talking, I was sitting here, and if I was Latrell, and if I was trying to call something that will help Jackson as well, but then also include Michael Hawkins, you have to. There are 4 formations that I would run if I was trying to help out to do this. First, of course, play action. Once you run play action, but you got to be able to run the ball. Play action with a mobile quarterback is what we want to call devil's advocate, because you have to pick your poison. Sure. Because if you miss an assignment and you blitz and he pulls that and rolls around, now you're at a disadvantage because now you have a mobile quarterback that can either run, hit the ball in the flat, or deep post. Next one, you can do bootlegs. Bootlegs with a 12 personnel with a mobile quarterback is the same thing, because now the defense has to pick their poison. Are you going to cover the 2 tight ends? Are you going to cover the receivers? Are you going to blitz? Or are you going to be able to contain? You cannot contain the quarterback when he has a 12 personnel with a mobile quarterback. All right. And then the last one, of course, if you go 5 wide with a mobile quarterback, everyone has to cover the receivers. There pretty much is no blitzer on a 5 wide personnel, what we want to call, which is 5 receivers, the offensive line, and the quarterback. You cannot blitz. So now if you send everybody wide or a deep post or just a 9 routes, who's going to guard the quarterback? So you have a different variations where you can bring Michael Hawkins in and have a package for him.
Sure.
But I think we need to have a package for him, and not just to come in. How many times have you watched a mobile quarterback come in and the defense know he's going to run the ball, and then they put 9 or 10 in the box and they run the ball? If you bring in a mobile quarterback, you have to throw the ball to keep the defense off their heels, because they don't know if they're going to blitz. Is he going to throw? Is he going to run? So I think you're right. We need to put a package in just for him to run, and not just 1 or 2 series. Maybe just, hey, you're going to go in this series and you're going to run the offense. That keeps the defense on their toes, because then they can't just always blitz. They don't know what to do when they're on defense. So that's what I would do.
Yeah, and I mean, and I don't know, Shawty, if you were talking about what I was saying, game plans should be based on the personnel. Sometimes you limit your playbook. I like trying to fit around pegging a square hole. JA could be limited in the playbook due to new in the system. I think a little bit, but I also think it's just a matter. Here's part of what I think. First off, he's heard how he's a turnover machine for the entire offseason because of the bowl game. The number of other thing is that he's had some turnovers in spring and in the fall camp where they're going ones and ones, and, good on good. And this defense is just that good.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of openings. So he's here's what one of my things with Jackson, but just real quick, what I wanted to kind of get at. And Shadi, if you got time to come in here, I'd love to have you come in and kind of talk about what we're talking about, because I'm not saying to limit the playbook. In fact, I think that you should be able to give him whatever the plan, the playbook is that week. If there, there's certain things that you're probably going to scrap for the week on against certain defenses anyway. I mean, this is always the way it is, right?
Yeah.
To me, I don't think that you change. I think maybe you change what you want him to read, because maybe he's better at certain things than other things. I mean, we haven't seen him throw the ball an awful lot, so we don't really know that,
Yeah.
From what you hear out of the practices, though, it's not like he's just a runner. That's not the case.
Yeah.
So he has ability there, but maybe he's better at certain throws and or maybe, rolling out another direction or something like that. You never know. There could be certain things within an offensive set that he does better at, that maybe you just, hey, we want to see this and I want to see what he can get, a dynamic play here. We got to start getting some kind of explosive plays out of the offense. Now, my question is, how much of it has to do with vanilla play calling? Because I think that's something to do with it too.
Yeah.
And the other part is how much is Nick Anderson really more hurt than we think he was? Or is it the fact that they're just possibly have been maybe holding them out, and maybe you're sending the wrong message to the entire team? This is what I said this on your show yesterday. If you're not playing guys because they're out of precaution, because they're nicked up just a little bit, and you just don't want to risk anything until you get into SEC play, you're basically sending the message to the team that these teams aren't good enough to compete with us. We're going to go ahead and play without them.
Yeah.
That could have the negative effect on your locker room too, that even the guys that are going to play, that they also don't have to, that they're also better.
Exactly.
That's the concern for me.
If how can I put this? I think since Jaleel got hurt, it changed everything, from bringing Nick back to playing Andrell, because they don't want another injury. So I think what you're saying is correct. They're saving guys to prevent them from getting hurt. We didn't expect for this to happen. I said it last night on the podcast. No one knew how important Jaleel Farouk was until now. Jaleel could one catch, 47 yards, and then he goes down. So he's the deep threat. So having him gone, having Nick gone, and now everybody's keying in on Dion, it's just making the offense a little bit stagnant and everything. So I think it's going to change once Nick comes back. Once Nick comes back, that's another key weapon, because you're talking about 6'4", 220.
Yeah.
You're going to have to double team him. And we all know that they say in the SEC they play man to man. A lot of these guys and everything are looking forward to that. So I am a little concerned, but I'm not overly concerned, because I think everything's going to work its way out. I mean, they're getting from week one, we talked about the offensive line. Offensive line did a great job against Houston. Houston was a better talent than Temple. They did a great job of a clean pocket. I just think Jackson got happy feet and just ran out. I mean, that's all it was. I mean, I think we're over-exaggerating just a little bit, but there is signs of concern.
The offensive line isn't really. I guess I'm missing what your Furious thing. I don't think it's a finished product, but I think it got better from week 1 to week 2, and I think it'll continue doing that. Des, I think I missed what your serious question was. What were you saying? Oh, wait, here it is. Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. I think I don't think that. I think that once you make that decision to go to a freshman, a true freshman, because that's what it sounds like they would be doing, then you've lost him. If it's not because of an injury, that's it.
Yeah, I think Rob Hill had a good question as well. I mean, I agreed. I think not giving the reps.
Who did? Rob Hill?
Yeah.
Jackson is trying to do a bit much instead of taking what the defense.
No,
that's not it.
Is
it above that or below it?
It's above that.
No.
I can't.
Rob, you got a lot of stuff in here. Go in there and oh man, I should have made it to where you could do
That's
this
fine.
too.
It's fine. No. He said it
Let me
says
find it. Let me
I
find it.
agreed. I think not giving them reps does more damage than good. Can't
Yeah.
expect them to hop in during SEC play. SEC play
Listen,
full
and I
speed.
think that yeah. So this is that's what Shawty's saying too. OU has made the bed with the quarterback situation. There's no way that you take snaps from JA unless he stinks it up. I think he's saying.
Yeah.
Kid has too much potential. You have to develop me. Can't do that standing on the sideline watching. No doubt. And I think that once you get to that point in this, so that's where you get to agreed. I think them not giving reps does more damage than good. Can't expect them to hop in during SEC play, and be up to speed if they haven't taken a live snap.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Okay. And I mean, I think that what you were hearing though and I think it was a reaction to what we were talking about BV. I think that if you can look at it in terms of we need to get him reps because you don't know what could happen. But I definitely agree with, I mean, I can understand and agree with what you're saying too, Shawty, that maybe it's either sink or swim with Jackson. And if you're gonna, I mean, because in the end, I do believe that as I answered to what and by the way, yeah, man, we haven't seen him in a while here, but man, what in the heck? Where's everybody? Des, hadn't seen you in a while. Des, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. I do agree that I do think that, as I said to him, I think that if you pull him because he's not playing well, then that's probably it. He's moving on.
Yep.
Chances are that he's got a better attitude than what Spencer had whenever he was here and got pulled for Caleb Williams. But I mean, at that point, you've probably lost him for the season and you got to go to Casey at that point.
Yeah.
That's just my feeling on it. I think other than that, I think you could possibly do as I said and maybe make it work out. But I've always been one of those two quarterbacks means you don't have one. So
yeah,
I don't know, man. I think it's depends on which way that you look at it.
You can't say you have a faith in your quarterback and then the first sign of trouble you pull him and then bring someone else in, because now he's looking over his shoulder to say, if I make another mistake, now I'm coming out of the ball game, and you're definitely not going to have the same person that you need to have to be successful in your offense. That's one thing.
Absolutely.
I've had 3 or 4 good quarterbacks at one time, man, and I'm on the sideline. Like, even though they're good, you still got to roll with the guy that won the job, because when you lose him and you throw someone else in, now there's controversy because you just don't know what you need to do going forward. And I don't want to have that idea of who should I play, who should I not play. I feel like who deserves to play. And I think Jackson hasn't done anything to warrant taking his job from him.
Yes. Well, and it's like, who won the job?
Yeah.
I think that if Michael was ready right now, and this is just my feelings on it, if he was already ready, then he probably would have won the job in camp, in spring, in camp. He's been here since before the spring. So I think that he said it looks like the whole offense is playing faster than the other teams because they have had to go against our defense. And that could have something to do with it too, Dillagaff. I agree with that. I believe that, but I think that there's two sides to it. I think that Jackson definitely has to play better. He has to play better. The other part is I think that we're all expecting him, and maybe he's in his own head a little bit about this, is that this is quarterback university right now that we're talking about.
Yeah.
The guys that have come through Oklahoma in the last 2 decades, there's no question about the best quarterback university in the country. It has been Oklahoma.
Yeah. Starting
with Josh Heupel and Jason White. Then you graduate to Sam Bradford, Landry Jones. The list goes on.
The list goes on, man.
The list goes on. And then, you won 2 more Heismans back-to-back and had number 1 picks. Then you had Caleb Williams. Even look, you got to think about the fact that, Jalen Hurts came from Alabama after losing his job there and ends up going in the first round and is a starting quarterback today in the NFL. If he stays at Alabama, he's probably not in the league right now, right? Yeah. In the end, well, go ahead.
No, I think Hank said what you said last night. JA don't need Kyler and Baker numbers to win a championship or to win games. You just need, I mean, people got mad at Cam for when he said some quarterbacks are managers and some quarterbacks are, first. I mean, I don't know how he put it, but Jackson just needs to manage the game right now. He doesn't need to go out there and try to throw for 300 or 400 yards. You don't need to. One thing I can say with this defense, and regardless of how shitty it looked, excuse my language, Saturday, the defense had you in the game the whole game. There wasn't one person, I guarantee you, if they're given truth serum, no one thought that Houston was going to march 90-something yards and win the game against that defense. I mean, I was stressed, but I wasn't worried about them marching down the field, because the only way a team does that, if you contain the team the whole game and they don't march down the field, what gives you the interpretation that they're going to do it now? Only way they do that is if you go into prevent, and they're not going to go into prevent. They kept the same defensive style the whole game. And what did they do? They got a safety, because this defense knows how to play defense. They know what to expect. So I don't really have to worry about the offense. The offense will get figured out.
Yeah. And look, I don't want to give the impression that I am either. I said this a bunch of times. I don't worry about Oklahoma's offense, not in the long run. There's a couple of things that I think have happened. Just to real quick answer this question for Des. It would be the freshman, almost definitely.
Oh yeah.
I think that if they make that change, they're making it because of what JA clearly isn't doing, and knowing that they can get the same arm from Michael Hawkins, plus they add that added layer of breakneck speed, sub 4.40 speed for a quarterback who's been working with Kyler's dad for the last couple of years and makes every throw. So, I mean, I think that, but I also don't think that this is something that's really in the works at the moment. I don't. I think that if they had got a loss here, okay. If they were to lose next weekend or they lose to Tennessee, okay, maybe. Now you're getting to a point where whatever it is, if it's the offense that's causing you to do that. But I would tell you again, just what Coach Ricks just said, guys, this defense looks like it is the absolute real deal. They're getting pressure. Go ahead.
No, I want to comment on Suplexus. His comment. Yep, OU is doomed. Hook 'em horns, baby. We saw that movie before. Yeah. Same thing last year when they went into Alabama, and they beat Alabama. We raved about Texas, and we said, and don't get me wrong, Texas looked good against Michigan.
They do.
But is Michigan is Michigan the same Michigan when Jim Harbaugh was there? I don't think so. But Harbaugh took his defensive coordinator with him. So everything looks different. What I'm saying is, when they went down and beat Alabama last year, everybody was on this great thing. Then they played Oklahoma. Now, I know that the defense is what it is, but by game 7, when we play Texas, hopefully by then the kinks will be worked out. But even so, I just can't see Texas scoring what Stark want to say 50 and 60 and 70 points on this defense. It just ain't gonna happen.
They still only got 30 the other day. They dominated the game and still only had 31 points the other day.
But Michigan gave them 5 turnovers too. Michigan gave them 5 turnovers. So, listen, but still, turnovers are turnovers.
I'm not bad mouthing what Texas did.
No, I'm not either. But
I mean, they played very well. But we've seen them play. Week 2 seems to be their jam. They should have won against Alabama 2 years ago.
2 years ago,
because they outplayed them, and they seem to be in a good situation at this time of year. Now, my question is, let's see what happens here over the next few weeks, because you remember last year, it was right after the Alabama game that they let Wyoming stay in the game for an awful long time before they pulled away from them. Or was it Rice or somebody that it was a team that shouldn't have been in the game at all.
Yeah.
And they stayed in it for a while. And and for all the crap you want to talk about Oklahoma right now, almost losing or whatever, Texas was a bad call away from losing to the same team last year without Willie Fritz as the coach.
Well, check this out, Jason.
Again, I'm not going to even bring. I don't think we have to talk about Tech. Let me just read this super chat real quick.
Yeah.
Neilio, good morning, Mr. Jason. Good morning, everyone. Keep your heads up. You're effing OU. It gets a lot better always. This is a great point. Yeah. Thank you, Neilio, and thank you for the super chat.
Yeah.
No,
what I was going to say is I'd rather have a team that, because we're saying Texas they had all the hype before the season. And now they beat Michigan. Oh, man, Texas is going to win it all. Texas is going to win it all. When you tell a team like that, they're going to win it all. And some players get that and they feel like we don't have nothing else to prove. We don't have nothing else. We are there. But then you have a team that everyone's talking about, everybody's down on. They have something to prove. Texas right now doesn't have anything to prove because they feel like they've already arrived and they're there. That is a dangerous thing to have a team know that they're already there. So now when you start playing teams and you get in these dog fights, how are you going to react? How are you going to counter that?
And I don't think we're necessarily saying that. I mean, there's obviously, we know as Oklahoma fans what they've been for a long time now. So look, sorry, Texas fan. We don't really trust you.
And I'm not saying they're bad. I'm not. They look nice, but
they do look nice.
What we thought Michigan was this top 5, top 10 defense. Do we really think that now after seeing what we saw? Not willing to make adjustments and want to run the same defense the whole game. And
Wink Martindale is their defensive coordinator.
I cried about this the whole game. You in the 12 personnel, you in the 2 tight end personnel. Why are you still in the 3-4 and then 4-3 or 4-2-5? They're just going to run the ball at the edges and double the defensive end. There's nothing that you can do about that. And they never adjusted. So Texas had a great game plan. But when they start playing defenses like Georgia and Oklahoma, and even some of the other SEC defense, are they really going to be that effective? And all it takes is one hit on Quinn Ewers and the season is over. Because Arch Manning is not going to come in there and beat all these SEC teams. And I'm not saying anything bad about the young man because I don't want no injuries on no one. But I'm just saying we got to put all this stuff into perspective before we start making these assumptions about how a team's going to be.
Well, I think there's also something you have to look at is it's different. Everybody wants to make the transitive property, this transitive property stuff where you start, like we're talking about Tennessee the same way. They beat up on NC State. So now all of a sudden they're going to blow Oklahoma out, right? Yeah. Or Texas looked really good on the road against Michigan. Good for you, Texas. I'm not even saying that. Look, bottom line is I think with most Oklahoma fans, and I think it's fair to say, is week 2 is week 2. When we see more out of you at the end of the year, and you do this more than 1 year in a row, then we'll talk. But as far as that goes, I mean, look, I think that they're better, a little better defensively, but I don't know how much better because I don't know how great the offense was there that they just went up against. And I don't think they went up against a great offense a week ago either. I think that's the question that's still out. Offensively, I don't think I've ever questioned whether they're going to be pretty good or not. I think that Texas is going to be pretty good. Moving on from Texas, though. This isn't a Texas conversation. Ryman Lemon, can we please give the defense their flowers? There was only one blown coverage all night. And I would add to that and say kind of what Jay was talking about last night on his show. That blown coverage was because of
the booing.
A bad call that had the entire crowd booing, and RSJ did not get the play call from Billy and therefore was out of position. He probably never makes that mistake again. And, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't have been booing loudly because that was a shit call. Shit call. That being said, because they were hand fighting, they were both hand fighting. There wasn't, I don't think it was, from calling basketball advantage, disadvantage stuff, I always think of it like that, right? In the end, I would say, I believe that this defense is absolutely doing exactly what we said last week. They're going to have you in position to win every game, whether it's 16-14 or not. And that includes in the SEC. Listen, I know that Nico's looked great so far. He hasn't faced a good defense yet. He hasn't. One thing we saw out of NC State is that they didn't have a good defense in week one either.
Dude, they struggled with some.
Oh, man. Yeah. Now, I also think that Tennessee has a pretty good defense. I don't know what I think about their secondary, but I think they have a pretty good defense. And I think that Nico is definitely to be reckoned with. But I also think that he will not have seen anything that he's going to see in week 4 on film or anywhere else from this defense. He's not going to know where it's coming from. They've got a plan for him and him alone that he's going to have to struggle through. I think that this early in the year, you may have said this earlier before, a few weeks back or something. If you catch him later in the year, he's probably a little more dangerous because he will have seen everything that you're doing.
Yeah.
At this point right now, he will not have seen, because they have been holding back a lot of their playbook. There's no blitzes. There's no, nothing that they're trying to hide. It's been really base sets and, base pressures. They're not even blitzing. So I think that you probably, you can still win there. You're at least going to be in a position to win. Do they need to be better on offense? Yeah, they got to be a little better on offense. Jackson has to be better. Jackson has to not be leaving clean pockets. But the other thing I want to talk about the offense is that I don't understand this substitution pattern. I don't understand it in the running back room, and I don't really understand what's going on with the receivers either. Why do we have all the little guys in all the time?
Outside.
I don't understand it. You've got, look, there's somebody, I think it was Jay or Coop maybe said that there may have been an injury to J.J. Hester last week, but it feels like he went back in the game. So, but he only got like 4 snaps, I think, last week. Yeah. And just from dropping one football, we're going to give up on a kid that's got experience and he's 6'4". Okay, why not carry on then? 6'6". Yep. Ivan Carry-On. Why isn't he in the game? Why are we playing Zion Reagans instead of Zion Kearney, who's 6'3", 6'4"?
Yeah.
I think I don't understand it. Or for that matter, do more 12 personnel and throw to the tight ends. That seems to work.
Yeah. Did we see Helms Saturday?
We did not. I don't believe so. I missed it. If so, I'd like to see him.
He's a mismatch nightmare as well. I mean, sometimes, man, we're gonna have to start. If you have athletic tight ends, you need to move them out like they did Mark Andrews and put him on the outside as a receiver.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Because on the defense side of that, the defense linebackers are too slow for him, and then the D-backs and everything, they're too small for him. So a lot of these times, man, we have to start using these tight ends and putting them in positions. Deion Burks needs to be inside along, and I'm going to keep saying it. Thompson is a deep post or a now route person. That's it. He should not be running. Even though he scored a touchdown, he should not be running slants across the middle. So I don't know. We're making it harder than what it needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. We're making it harder than what it needs to be.
I agree. Boomer 129, you're asking if my mic messed up? Are you guys struggling to hear me? Let me know what you're if I'm
I can
not
hear
coming
you
through.
pretty well.
Lori, I had to put you in timeout for that little comment about bringing Stoops back as the head coach.
No, we don't need that, man.
That ain't it.
You know, last night Jason
Did you
got off,
forget the
man.
rules? Did you forget the rules, Lori?
I had a very nasty encounter, man, for about a couple of hours last night after we got off about a
Oh,
player
goody.
talking about why does it seem like we can't rekindle the yesteryears of the defense. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Think people that still want the same offense and defense in the early 2000s and the 2010s, please stop saying that crap, because times have changed. And if you're
Yeah,
not willing to change, you're going to be like Dabo. You're going to be like Nick Saban. You don't want things to change, and you're going to be stagnant. Things have changed. There wasn't no spread offense back in the early 2000s. Now every damn team is running spread offense. So I don't understand why everybody has this misconception that the defense is the problem or the offensive line is the problem. It's a team problem. Everybody's making mistakes and missing assignments. That's all it is. I mean, we
sure.
argue for hours about that crap.
It's early in the year, by the way. I think we can try to we should probably try to remember that this is early in the season, right? And Lori, I
It's a
was just
nice
messing
problem to
with you, so
have
you can
in
say what you
game
want.
2. It's a bad problem to have in game 9.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I was talking. I was having you talk about that. I mean, I just remember going back through it that we had benchmarks that we were trying to reach every week as an offense, as a team, right? Certain things that you want to do from week to week, and you expect to reach, your goals. And I mean, your stack. And Coach talks about this all the time too, Coach Roybal, that it's the little things, and you stack all these little things on top of each other, and then next thing you know, it's a strength.
Yeah.
And I think that look, we could come up with a million reasons why things are the way they are, right? That why they're off just a shade, or, and there's probably a lot to it. I think that when you stack them all together is what it kind of amounts to. And I was listening to what Seth Luttrell said after the game. I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that it's not just one thing. You've had continuity issues with the line, because you kind of always have continuity issues with the line with Bill Bedenbaugh early in the season, particularly since the transfer portal became full swing thing, right?
Yeah.
We've had it every year. I think that because of the fact that narrative has been out there in all the places that don't know shit about Oklahoma football, but they just want to have a reason to not believe, that now that's crept into the fan base as well. They don't play well just for a little bit, and then we're freaking out over it. I would tell you that I'm not super excited about the way that they do things with the running back room. I wasn't excited about that last year. I wasn't excited about that last year. If you're not going to have Taylor Tatum, if we have a receiver issue, Taylor's a big guy, right? If you're not going to put him in the backfield to run the football, then put him in the slot, because we know he can catch the ball, and he's explosive in a way that there's not another running back like him in the room.
No,
there isn't. So
we have yet to see Hicks, and we thought Hicks was the best thing, and we have yet to see him.
I think he got banged up. I think he was one of the recipients of a Michael Boganowski battering ram throughout fall camp, and I don't know that he's really come back from that yet.
I know that Yogi Bear is tripping. He said Oklahoma is the next Vanderbilt. Come on, man.
Oh,
really?
Yogi Bear, you get your time out for sure.
Dude,
and if that continues,
you just come on, man. I mean, I don't think Vanderbilt has ever had anywhere near a great defense like this.
Come on, guys. Mr. Dilligaff, missing open throws, doesn't look like he's going through the progression and throwing to open receivers. Happy feet and not throwing to get receivers open. Smells of timing issues with number 2 and 3 wide receiver. Yeah, so take away some of the options.
Yeah.
This is what you got to do with these guys. And because look, the bottom line is that none of them, and I know, first off, comparing anybody to Baker Mayfield is not really something you should do.
No.
Those dudes don't come around all the time. Dudes that walk on like Stetson Bennett, same kind of thing. How many guys you know that walk on to Division I programs, become a starter, and go become top 5 in the Heisman even one time? He did it 3 times, won it, and was number 1 in the draft as a walk-on.
Yeah.
A 2-time walk-on at that. Listen, the expectations are a little much. Now, I can also remember that in the first year and the second year and even parts of the third year, there were Oklahoma fans that didn't like Baker.
Yep.
There were Oklahoma fans that were calling for him to come out a lot. Hell, I saw something in Gabe and Teddy's chat earlier that was saying they were really pissed about somebody saying that Baker was better than J.A. Well, I think Baker is clearly better than J.A. at the moment. But this guy was really pissed saying, no, screw Baker, this and that. That's rare. But I would tell you that there's a lot more people that are big Baker fans now that he's not on the roster than they were when he was.
Yeah.
There was always questions about the guy. He was an alpha male and played hard and was just a competitor. That's what made him great. He plays with a chip on his shoulder. It's what makes him great now. It's why he's still in the league, even though they had him left for dead a long time ago. You know, in the end, the expectation that he's going to be perfect right now today is a little much. They need to take away some of the to me,
expectations.
Make it 2 options. Don't make him read the entire progressions, because I think he's trying to go for the most perfect thing, and there's not necessarily going to be a perfect read. So give him 2 reads and pick the one that works so that we get the ball out quicker.
That's it. But I think Morris James had a great assessment. He said that defense is about to make a lot of offense look sad. We can sit here and say everything we want to say about teams that they're going to play. But until teams start playing better teams, we don't know what the Tennessees or the Texas or any of the top teams, we don't know what they look like until they start playing the meat and potatoes of the schedule. So, I mean, Oregon struggling, but they won. Alabama struggled, but they won. So we're starting to get a better landscape of what these teams look like when they start playing better competition. Right now, we're all still speculating what they're going to be like. OU just happened to struggle with an opponent that they're supposed to dominate, but are they going to do the same thing when they play better teams? We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We really don't know. But when teams get in a jam like OU did, how are they going to respond? Are they going to make the plays? Are they going to make the assignments? Or are they going to choke and crack under pressure? So
no doubt. Again, I think that if it's one thing, like you said a little while ago, if we're in week 9 and this is still a problem, week 2, it seems like a knee-jerk reaction. Lori, I was just messing with you. I told you. I said it when I did it.
Yeah, Lori. He was just
I was just kidding.
No, Jason has a tendency to pull that trigger too fast sometimes.
I do pull the trigger fast. I'm trigger happy when it comes to the mute button. Thanks.
But he'll apologize out there.
No, I won't. Not usually. Just to Lori, because she hadn't been around in a while, actually. But we had a talk, and I was just messing with you, Lori. You know that.
I think you had a great assessment of that, man, because last week you did say people are trying to compare Jackson to what we've had in the past, and there'll never be another Caleb. There'll never be another Kyler. There'll never be another Baker. No. So I think we've gotten spoiled on the high-powered offenses. Weren't that.
Well, Caleb was his first year, and it was. He was better the next year. You know what I mean?
He wasn't Kyler when he was in Texas A&M. Because he didn't have the supporting cast around him, and he was running for his life every time. But when you put him in a program, in a system that fits his attributes and everything, then you get the Kyler that we got at Oklahoma.
Right. Zach, here's what I would say about this, though. Yeah, he was playing to win versus Arizona, and I think that they wanted to see what they were going to get out of him. They let him kind of go make mistakes and whatever. And I think that he played pretty well. I also think that, he had some turnovers and stuff, and it's easy to say that. But this is a tough fan base. And you know that he's been hearing about it since that game.
Yeah.
Not just even from the fan base, but also in the coaching. They want to make sure that he's taking care of the football. And it's been the narrative of they've asked him those questions in the media about taking care of the football and what you're going to have to do. And I think he's just trying to be a little too perfect. I want to see him let it rip. I don't care. Look, you're going to throw some interceptions. The interception that he threw the other day wasn't even his fault.
Deion Burke stopped running.
He went skinny. Deion went skinny. He should have stayed going to the sideline. That connects. But I will agree that I think part of it is that the fact that there is a little worry about it, and he's just got too many things in his mind. When you start getting happy feet, that tells you that, first off, he's hearing footsteps that aren't there, and he's thinking he's out of time.
Yep.
When that's not the case. But I also think that he's going through too many progressions, and maybe he's not even trying to throw guys open. I think somebody else said that in here before.
Yeah.
He's waiting until they're wide open, or he doesn't throw it. That's not that. You got to trust your arm more than that. And he should trust his arm more than that. Just think about the Farouk throw in week 1. That was a bullet that was closer to 57 yards than it was 47, which was the number of yards from the line of scrimmage. He was 10 feet or 10 yards behind the line, though, and was being kind of laid out. He was definitely off platform, and he throws a bullet that was money. That's what you do when you're not thinking about the throw. You're just throwing it. It's just like, I go back to when I played basketball. If I was thinking about my form, you could bet your ass I wasn't going to make it. If I didn't think, if you shoot in the rhythm of your game is when you make it, right? It's the same with that. I think of shooters and quarterbacks, they're kind of the same thing. Be in rhythm.
I tell my players, if you don't shoot, we don't win.
That's right.
Shoot that thing as many times as you can. Just have confidence.
I had a coach in the 8th grade that told us that everybody shoots. If you're open, shoot the damn ball.
Hey, when I was in school, in college, man, 3 guys had the green light. We can shoot whenever we wanted to, but it had to be perfect form. It had to be a great shot, but you had the green light. Right. You can't, and I think somebody said it on here, you can't keep the training wheels on people.
No.
And expect for them to excel at a higher rate and everything. It's just not going to happen, because I think that Jackson does have doubt right now, not in the offense, not in play calling. I think he has doubt that he don't want anything bad to happen, and bad things are going to happen on the football field, but you just have to trust your instincts and trust the game plan. And like you said, let the ball rip, man. Stop trying to overthink things. When you overthink things, man, bad things tend to happen. Just play the game.
Yeah. Hey, buddy. Benji may be a Texas fan, but he's also a channel member. Relax. Okay. He's here every day.
Yep.
Every day.
Yeah.
So
Benji gets a pass.
He does. He's one of the few that does, but he does.
But he comes in here. He also has the common sense, and he also has the knowledge to know that,
Yeah, he's going to catch hell too.
Yeah.
He's going to catch hell too. And you know what? I've lost a few subs over the last couple of days, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't Texas fans. It was Oklahoma fans that decided to unsub over all this. And I don't really look, man. If you don't want to be a subscriber, that's fine. If you'd like to become one, we'd love to have you.
Oh yeah.
And you should make sure that you hit that thumbs up. Also, please get over to Coach Rick's channel. It's at Coach Rick's right here on YouTube. Coaches Talk. He's doing some amazing work all the time. I jumped on his show last night. I like streaming it. I wanted to go ahead and stream it over to my channel as well, just to make sure we kind of get him out there, because he's putting out consistent content, man. You guys, and you want to hear what he has to say, you should definitely be over there. Okay.
Yeah, I'm like, true.
Can't handle the truth. Sorry, you're on the wrong side. Now that's true. You're not wrong there. It is what it is. And you were taking up for Benji, my man, bloody. Appreciate it. Let's see. Man, I'm gonna stay out of the chat for right now. All right. The tight end situation. I like the tight end situation. I think that the offense is going to be okay. I really do, folks. I don't think that it's something that you have to. It's something to look at. It's not something to pine over. Here's one thing that I'll tell you that I heard yesterday that I believed a lot, and actually Bishop Frank said it. What happened this weekend may have been the best thing to happen to Oklahoma. And because I do believe that there may have been some of this, everybody was saying all week that it was going to be another game like Temple. You're going to blow them out. They don't have anything for you. Now, what we failed to remember was that Willie Fritz was the head coach of this football team. They're going to be better. Their record may not show you. They'll get better week to week. They will.
Yeah.
This staff is also going to get this football team better from week to week. They're getting healthier right now. If I really was going to pick on anything that I think could be a problem, it's kind of the stuff that I think was an issue last year.
Yeah.
DeMarco with his running back room and the lineman thing. Look, I'm not going to question BB and the way he does things. What I would say is if they're good enough to play and you're not playing them just because of precautionary reason, I would rather they sat out practice and played in the game for a little while until you ran it up on some of these guys.
Yeah.
Then get them back out. Maybe they miss a practice or two and get a little more treatment. Take care of them that way instead of not having them in if you need them. Because I think that there's never going to be a time that your guys aren't beat up when you get into SEC season. Michael Deesh, I just said this at the start of the game too, at the start of the show too. Yeah. I'm not going to apologize for a 5-point win. After beating OSU. Yep, I remember that. My man, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat as well. Yeah. You're going to be at my neck next time? Is that what you're saying? You think Hawkins will be your next Heisman? It's possible. And I think that this is another good Sooner. Brandon's right on the money with this one too. Yeah. I think you do have to have some of these. There's got to be some pressure involved. There's got to be some games where you got to overcome some adversity. There has to be. So what I've said, and I said it yesterday, and somebody kind of took it in a different way and said something in the comments, but I would tell you that the end of Lincoln's time here, even spilling over into when Venables took over, they lose this football game.
Oh, yeah.
They lose this football game. They don't find a way to win. They lose.
Like I said, from 2019, 2020, 2021, Oklahoma loses that game because and the defense that Lincoln had, man, can you just imagine? And let's just put the thinking cap on. If the 2017, 18, 19, 20, and 21 had the defense that Oklahoma pulled out Saturday, how many championships will Oklahoma have? I would think 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
So take it with a grain of salt, guys. I mean, like I said, I think that when we start having all the guys get back healthy, we're going to have a different, tone in our voice and everything. And then we're going to start saying, where was this early on the season? I think someone said in the comments earlier is that we got 4 offensive line guys out and 4 receivers out. So that's 8 guys that are out that you had in fall camp that you don't have now. So
right.
It makes everybody change and makes things a little bit difficult to be more productive. So I still don't worry about how it's going to end up. I really don't have no thoughts about that or no worries about that.
Yeah, listen, buddy, I think I'm more concerned about the tempo stuff, and maybe they're not meshing it very well together. I don't know, man. I think that, to me, I want to see more Taylor Tatum, and then we'll find out what.
You remember when they had Joe Mixon out as a receiver?
Yeah.
They moved him out there. They need to start doing the same thing with Tatum and everything, because you put him out. I mean, he's big and physical enough to restrain some of the hits and everything out as a receiver, but He's more physical and agile that you can move him out to a receiver. And if he makes the guy miss, that's it. So I think we need to start moving some of the personnel around. I mean, we have this depth, as we say. Let's start using it, but use it to our advantage. Use it to our advantage, just instead of putting guys out there that should not be out there.
Mm-hmm. Right. Look, I think you may be right here. There's a lot. We could talk about this a lot. I think that Jackson he needs to get better. I think we can kind of bottom line it there. With the expectations are where they are for a reason. And look, I don't think that you are going to really find everything out until we get through some more of these games, more of the season. We don't have enough information really yet, particularly as fans who aren't out there and watching every practice. I am going to get a hold of somebody I know that has all 22. I'd like to do some breakdowns and stuff like that. So, Coach, we may have you pop in and Coach Roybal and do some stuff where we can kind of look over some all 22 stuff. That's a segment I've been wanting to kind of to work in anyway. Okay. I got to talk to a friend of mine about getting my hands on it first, but I think it's something that we could possibly do.
Okay.
I love breaking down film. That's kind of fun stuff for me. Much more than some of this other stuff. But look, I would just say this, guys, if we're talking and Chicken, I saw what you were saying. You can't be having muff punts. I think that, yeah, we'll kind of wait and see kind of what happens with that. I still feel like they're in a better position. I don't think that they did much well last week. And I think that there may have been, I'm still wondering if maybe it wasn't if it wasn't a result of the idea of holding guys out of the game when they could play, but you don't want to take chances because it's Houston or it's because it's Temple. And maybe that sent the wrong message to the locker room. Somebody said something about Wednesday's practice last week when you heard from Venables that he was not in a very good mood. And that maybe that came from they weren't practicing very well. You can always tell the pulse of your football team before the game throughout the week. And maybe he wasn't. He even said, and I think rhyming, it's a great point to make here. If you're saying that they don't have the right head coach, when he comes off of a game like this and says we deserve to lose that game, not just once, but multiple times, he said that throughout.
That's a great coach.
We'll take the win, but we have work to do. Yes, we know we have our head coach. Guys, I do not question Brent Venables here. I know he hasn't. This is his third season as a head coach, but this is a guy who's been a coach for a long time, and he's been an elite coach for a long time. I think it's fair to say that Clemson hasn't been the same since he left that program. And not taking anything away from Dabo Swinney, he's one of the best coaches in the country. Right now, he's not evolving. That has something to do with it as well. But Brent had a big piece of why they were as successful as they were at Clemson.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. He was a big part of why Oklahoma was as successful every year as they were while he was there. Every one of those guys that played for him will tell you that. Every one of them.
Yeah.
I want people to remember. Let me ask you this. I think of course, I mean, somebody said, one of the comments I read, and this was the last comment I read from the show last night, was talking about, what did it go into? Oh, just that it was another one of those stupid comments about expectations, and that the expectations were low. Actually, wasn't a stupid comment, but it was a comment that kind of made me like, his expectations were low because at first he thought maybe 10-2, but because of the injuries, unfortunately, he doesn't even think that's going to happen. In the end, you're not going to win the SEC. This was his quote. You're not going to win the SEC or the national championship either. So what does it matter what they do this year? And my immediate response to that was like, what does it matter?
It doesn't.
Let me ask you. Let me just put this out there. It matters to these guys that are seniors and came back to play one more year.
Yep.
It matters to them.
Yeah.
And it isn't just so they can go to the NFL. Some of them, it's their life. The 4 seniors that came back and, on the defensive side didn't just come back for the NFL. They came back to finish their college career.
Yep.
And there's some other seniors out there that are doing the same thing. Believe me, it matters. The other reason it matters, because to them, this is either the end of their career, or he was talking about 1 to 3 years down the line would be their target year. Now, I've said that their target year starts next year, really. I have said that. But I would tell you that damn right it matters. And he even said, I think that their ceiling would absolutely be like second round of the playoffs, they get knocked out. Okay, well, first of all, I want to know how you define success. Because relative to what this program was when Venables took it over, after Lincoln left, he burned the shit down.
Yep.
He took the best players he could take with him and left and tried to, and look, not just taking players, there was also the stuff that they were saying, negative recruiting. He's been talking shit since he left about Oklahoma. This was not, and you've never heard Venables use an excuse about this, not one damn time about what he was left. He said when he got here, you know what, we're going to rip it back to the studs anyway. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We'll keep who we can keep and the guys that we can't, and they don't cast this big, huge, wide net out there and try to get whoever they can get. They are absolutely doing it their way.
Yep.
But I'm going to tell you that it matters. And it matters because of this. The first year he salvaged a number 8 class in the country. The next year they were number 4. The next year, this past one was number 8. Now, I would tell you it was better than number 8 because there's guys that are playing right now like that were highly. Look, if you look at Jaden Jackson, he was number 400 when he committed to Oklahoma. Now he rose up the ranks a little bit, but he's an actual starter on the D line. That isn't just because they're really thin. He's beating out a guy that's played and started in the SEC before. So to me, he's a blue chipper no matter what. And it turns out he was a top 150 guy anyway. He should have been a 5-star probably, though. So there's one guy. You start talking about some of these. Taylor Tatum ended up dropping out of 5-star. He became a 4. Why? I don't know why. I don't think that that's the right thing. It doesn't really matter.
Yep.
But again, Michael Boganowski, a 3-star on all but one recruiting service. And this is a guy that Teddy Lehman says is the best safety he's ever seen at Oklahoma, and he played with Roy Williams.
You get to see it up close, man. You get to see it up close to where he will be a great character to say Michael Boganowski and everything is the best.
That's right.
If you see it, if you hear from him, that means something. And you don't hear Roy coming out talking about, hey man, what are you talking about? Because he must know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what he said or if he has or hasn't said anything. I know he didn't like the Superman stuff for Caleb Williams, so it wouldn't surprise me.
He hated that.
He hated that.
He hated that.
And it wouldn't surprise me if he wasn't a fan of that either. Of the, what he said. Now, he's a college football Hall of Famer. He doesn't have to care at this point. You know what I mean? He doesn't have to care. The point where I was at, though, was that it damn sure matters because here's the thing. If you want to continue doing that as a staff, not only first off, it matters in showing if you're this staff recruiting this class right now, which is another really good class, another top 10 class, could get better, right? You want to be able to say, not only are we recruiting better and we're raising the level of talent here so that we can go win a natty, we're also maximizing the talent as we get it.
Yeah.
So even though we're going up against whatever you want to call the tough schedule in the SEC, the toughest of the schedules SEC-wise, then we're still maximizing our talent. So it matters.
Yeah.
It matters. That was the last one I could bring myself to even look at on the comments, and they still have been pouring in in its negativity. Folks, I'm going to tell you something. These guys see it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They may not act like they do. They may not. You may not think that they're looking at social media. They're looking at it.
Oh yeah.
And it's not about them being soft either. But believe me, it's not just them that see it. Those recruits see the shit too.
Yep.
You got to remember some of this sometimes. I understand holding them accountable for the standard. But there's a lot more than that being said in a lot of these comments on Twitter and even here on on YouTube.
Yeah.
And
man,
don't
that's why
get it
I
twisted.
told you.
Go ahead, Coach. Please
I take my players' cell phones during football because I don't want them to start getting full of themselves or reading things they don't need to read, because
sure,
young men and teenagers, they have a different way of, how can I put this for it to make sense, man? I want to do it simply as I can make it. When you start to feel yourself, or you start to feel like someone think that you are this or that, it affects your level of playing. So if we're all in,
that's
we're
what I
all
was
in.
saying earlier about having the attitude of we don't need to play our best guys.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not. I live by the old Steve Spurrier thing. It's not my job to help you out. I'm gonna try to score as many points as I can.
Yeah.
Call me what you want to call me. I had a coach on the sideline talking about why you run the score up. It's not my job to tell my team to play less just because your team can play better. And it is what it is. But when you start to play to the level of a team, it affects your team, because now you're playing down, or you're playing lower than what you need to play. So, hey, you got to stop me, brother, because I'm not helping you out, and it is what it is. But I think that this week we're going to see a whole new offense. We're going to see a whole new team, and then we're going to think, where was this last week, or where was this? No one is giving Houston credit for the game plan they had. Now, sure, you should have came in there and spanked that ass, but they ran some plays, man, that I've never seen teams run against a team that had a young quarterback. Now, say I might be wrong, but Willie Fritz had a game plan different from week one.
Yes.
He had a different game plan.
This last night. Hey, expound on this again. You talked about this last night. I loved this, what you were talking about. He self-scouts better than anyone I've seen in a while.
To me, I don't want to disrespect Bill Snyder, but to me, he's another Bill Snyder, to where he really understands X's and O's. He will exploit something when he sees it, and then you have to stop it. And he's not going to change that. They had a great game plan for Jackson Arnold. We're going to double team Deion Burks. We're going to blitz the A gap. We're going to have our defensive ends on the outside of the right tackles. So when they blitz the A gap and the quarterback rolls out, our defensive ends are going to be there waiting. So he had a great game plan. That's all it was.
Yep. Sooner Cowboys, I don't want to hear nothing else from you about the offensive line in this show. Don't say anything else.
Why you want to put players that really don't have game experience in the game? We're already talking about
He lost his damn mind is why he's just stuck in this spot.
Talent. I don't know how I can say it and everything. I like talent, but hard work beats talent every day of the week. And some people just feel like because you're a 5-star, or sometimes these kids get on social media and build themselves up to be something that they're not. And then when they get into the game and they get exposed, now everybody's like, well, we thought you was this. We have a great coaching staff, man. And I'm going to keep saying it. We have a great coaching staff that knows these guys and that knows the X's and O's. It will get turned around, guys. Just give it time. I mean, damn. I mean, we act like they're supposed to come out there and score 50 and 60 points every damn game.
Mm-hmm. Kimberly K, welcome into the show. Did you see Houston's pressure after the game? That fan base showed that team so much love and respect. for hard fought game. Someone not knowing what happened would have thought they won. Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
So not knowing that they you would have thought that they won.
Yeah.
Look, compared to what they looked like the week before, it was considerably better. Now I would tell you that UNLV is a better football team than what people think they are too. They've got Barry Odom's coaching them. They did a great job last year. They were pretty close to winning the Mountain West a year ago. Brennan Marion, probably one of the better offensive coaches. He's definitely one of the up and coming guys in the country. He's got his go offense. It's really good. Yeah, we can't have it.
Yeah,
Houston can still go in the Big 12, and it's for the O-line if anyone thinks that they aren't coming together. Yeah, look, I think they are coming together. And I brought you up before you were in here earlier, Sooner Brandon, for what you had said on Twitter or earlier. I think that you saw significant, if you watched the game again, and I've seen it 3 or 4 times now, you see that this was a matter of it was night and day different as far as penetration was concerned in that pocket. He had a clean pocket. He was just leaving it. And I'm more concerned with the personnel decisions in the skill spots than I am about anything else is when it comes to that. And then, of course, listen, you need to stay in the pocket and do your thing. But I think that comes with time as well. He'll get comfortable. Just take a little bit off his plate. I think Jay and Cooper talking about that last night. I thought it was the smartest thing. Look, cut back on the reads. Give him 2 reads. This is the look you should get at the line. And then you can break that down into what if you get this look, it's this. If you get this look, it's this. And then look at this read first, this read. After that, you're either throwing the ball out of bounds or you're running. That's it. Done. Yeah. Don't make it so hard. Don't give him four progression read where he's going to go through, because right now I think he's looking for the most perfect spot to throw it to, and there's no such thing as one usually. And open is it's a relative term, man. We love to see big time separation. Sometimes you're not going to have it. Sometimes you're not going to have it.
T Boomer had a good question. Coach Ricks, you're right. Teams wake up for better talent. That's why Bama always gets everybody's best. Oklahoma gets everybody's best. Oklahoma, the Ohio States, the Alabamas, all these teams, when you play a team like Oklahoma or Alabama or Texas or anybody that's up in the top 10, you're going to get their best shot. You're going to get trick plays. But to have a game plan to where it's effective as it was Saturday, do we think that Houston might have overlooked UNLV looking for Oklahoma and then got exposed and then came out and had the game of their life against Oklahoma?
I mean, he said in the press conference that he wasn't happy with their effort in week 1. Yeah. That he was happy with their effort this week and that what a great game. They came up a little bit short, but he was super happy about the way that they had played. And he added in there, I didn't think we, just being real, was not happy about our effort last week.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, you could, we talk about trap games all the time, right?
Dude, who would have thought Northern Illinois would beat Notre Dame?
There ain't no way in hell that should have happened.
I'm being honest.
And that's where, look, think about it. We were talking about that, and actually coaches talked about this some too, that negative, there's a negative there of having a schedule that's that light, right?
Yeah.
And USCJ was trying to bust chops on me the other day about the non-conference schedule. Oklahoma would not have had this non-conference schedule had it not been for the SEC move. They were going to play Georgia in the non-conference. It would have been this week. Yep. Then when you made the move and you're dropping Okie Light off the schedule, this is why they had to add another one, because you have to have a non-conference power school as long as they're not going to go to the 9 games. I don't know what that's going to change when they do 9-game schedule, but you can't just add teams from, one year to the next. It's not just as easy as saying, hey, I'm going to call up Georgia or I'm going to call up, Michigan this year. Now they do start the Michigan series next year. That's a home and home. And Oklahoma's never had a problem doing that. But I would tell you that Notre Dame, for whatever reason, in this season, their schedule last year was pretty brutal.
Yeah,
it was, and they were still pretty good. But I think he had the concern about them getting lackadaisical because of the lack of real tests on their schedule.
Yeah,
I don't know that that's really. I think that right now, you've got Riley Leonard learning a new offense. Do I think he'll be better? Yeah. But if you think about it, we saw Jaden Daniels lose to Florida State in his first game at LSU under Denbrock as well. So it may not be as easy to figure it out. I think once he does figure it out, but he didn't throw the ball very well. Now they do got some talent behind him that can throw. And I think that's what Coach was mostly upset about, because he knew he needed to throw at the end of the game, and they still put him in the game. All right. I don't know that you definitely, again, this is one of those things that if you don't stick with Riley Leonard in that situation, you just lost him for the season probably.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think David is illusional. Y'all told some insane lies about that O-line. We'll be lucky to finish 7-5. I'm trying to figure out.
Who's this?
David. I'm trying to figure out what lies did we tell and about the O-line, and what 5 teams are going to beat them.
Run along, man, David.
I just don't. I mean,
what lies are we telling?
I ain't told not one lie about no lie. I mean, about the offensive line. I mean, it's week 2. So what can we say about the offensive line in 2 games?
Yeah. Here's the thing. The lie is what you're trying to say if you're saying that Bill Bedenbaugh ain't the dude. Count the money up. Just count the money up in the NFL, bro. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. And look, you know what? You want to talk about something about Texas. We don't have to. I'm not talking about Texas right now. I think Texas looks better than Oklahoma looks right now at the moment. I'm going to stress at the moment. And I just puked in my mouth a little bit anyway. But I'm going to tell you this. The O-line, nobody thought much of last year either.
Nope.
Nobody thought much of them last year. There were times, especially in the first 4 games of the year, that they didn't look great. And what happened? They got in there against that vaunted D-line that everybody said was going to run right over the top of them. And what did they do? They had over 200 yards rushing in that game. Nobody else had even been over 100 at that point, I don't think. Certainly not over 200. The other thing was they didn't give up a sack.
Nope.
Oklahoma's defensive line got through that vaunted O-line of Texas and got 5 sacks.
Yep.
And shut you down on the goal line 4 straight plays. So we can talk about this if you want to, but in the end, the lie is if you don't pay attention to that shit, if you're not paying attention to those things that we just talked about, then you're the one lying and full of crap.
Yeah.
Don't come in here doing that stuff in this channel. I don't even know who you are, and you're going to come in running your mouth.
Ooh, well, hey, man, I got to get ready to get up out of here. I got to go run an errand.
Man,
I wanted to jump on here, man, support you, man. Like I said, because sometimes, man, I like to do this and rebuttal some people and everything, man, and answer a few questions. But some of the things, man, that some people are saying, man, I just overlook. It's not a finished product, and we won't know really what this team is made of until week 8 or week 9. And I think by then,
at least wait till they have a loss or something. Shit.
That's what I always thought. You pull the fire alarm once you get a loss. If we're winning if we're winning tight games, but the defense is still doing their job, and we have a few things that we can tweak to get it on the right ship, why are we pulling the alarm right now?
I screwed up and accidentally got. Damn it. Sorry, Rob. I'm going to fix that right now.
Right.
I got him.
But hey,
Sorry, Rob. Sorry, Rob.
Get up out of here, man.
Brother, I appreciate you coming in, Coach. Really. Thank you for coming in. And hey, guys, again, tell everybody where to find you real quick. We want to make sure we get everybody over there. Did you get some subs from last night?
Oh yeah, we got some stuff from last night, man. I really appreciate it, man. You know, on YouTube, man, at Coach Ricks, and then if you go on TikTok or Instagram, it's Coach Ricks 3 at Coach Ricks 3. Man, just come check your boy out, man. Love to see you guys come in there and chop it up with me, and you know maybe we can get to where Jason's at.
Hey man, you'll get there. Just keep on pushing record, man. I already told you that, and I definitely hey, when this afternoon, when you get a chance, or maybe this evening, give me a yell, and we'll go over some stuff that could probably help you out a little bit. Okay.
Appreciate it, bud, man.
All right,
hey, y'all take it easy, man.
All right, man. It's at Coach Ricks on YouTube. Jump in there and make sure that you guys get over there and do that for him. Oh, it's a little close. Hey, somebody jump in the Discord and tell our boy that I did that on accident, but I am getting the dude that I was trying to get. Rob, my fault. Green with Envy, you're out, bro. Oh, I'm going to have to get you from the Sooner channel, huh? I'll get you. It's happening. It's happening, but I'm going to worry about the getting Rob back in here first. My bad, dog. Oh, shit. See what happens? You guys get me all wound up, and I'm kicking out good people. Hey. All right. Now, in the end, guys, look. Let's just try to keep things into perspective, all right? We got to be better. We got to be better. There's no two ways around it. We got to be better. But I think they're going to be better. They always are. Kimberly K, thanks for that. Drop his link and you'll go sub. Yeah. Thank you, Afro. It's at Coach Ricks. It's called the Coaches Talk channel. So you guys jump over there and make sure you do that. I'm going to try to get back in here and fix this, and I'm struggling to find it, to be honest with you. Yeah, I don't know. All right. So what else you guys want to talk about in here right now? Let me find this stuff. Here it is. I'm going to fix this real quick, and then I'll be right back. I'm not seeing them. Come on. I can't even find him in there where I've blocked him out, because I know I just blocked him. It wasn't even just a timeout. I got that dude. There's Green with Envy right there. Oh, no. He's going to be pissed. Oh, one of the other things I did want to talk about and see what you guys think about this. Look, first off, I want to say that I do not want everybody to think that I'm okay with the fact that Joshua Bates got himself tossed, or not tossed, but the penalty for taking off the helmet when he did that, right? It was not the way to go about it. The problem I do have is that I don't love it that he's getting attacked and saying he should never play again. I've kind of gotten messed with quite a bit about that. And listen, you fixed it, Ryman? My man. My dude. Sorry, dude. Sorry, dude. Is he back in here? Is he mad? Sean D, conference play is almost here. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm glad you did that, man. Any way we can get coffee and energy drinks? Absolutely. Absolutely. I will take care of that. I will take care of that. You got baited into that. You got to be more disciplined. He definitely has to be more disciplined. But here's the thing. I was more upset with the fact that nobody else was trying to kill that guy than I was with him taking it too far. Now, don't get me wrong. My perspective, and I'll just admit this, my perspective might be a little bit different had they lost the game because they, make a play that they wouldn't have gotten other than having that, stop the clock, right? Defend J.A., keep the helmet on. Yeah. Yeah, I do know that. I do know that. But I want to do some stuff like that. Strippers and beer. You trying to get me in trouble with mama? No, not happening. I mean, on 3, but better. Well, I have to agree. Look, I've actually thought a lot about that, about, doing recruiting and stuff like that, because I'm not going to be the one that does it. I'd love to put a recruiting team together, and I think you could. But I would tell you that, yeah, we would go about it differently. But I don't know that you would make a ton of money that way doing it, because they're definitely their model works. It makes money. I think that what I would want to fix with that, though, I don't know that you could do it right. It's trouble, right? Okay. Well, now there we go. Perfect. You did? Sorry there, Mike. Appreciate that, man. Thank you. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you guys all for the super chat. I appreciate that. We've gotten them today from Nelio, Michael Deesh, and 2 from the legend. I thought you were out of here. I'm glad you're back. Welcome back, legend. All right. I want to go through some of these super chats. We need to get healthy Nick and Andrell to get on the field with JA, which will give them. And I think that that's a lot of what we were kind of going through as well, is I feel like he's having to try to get things back to where he's got, a good rapport with all of them and, knows what they're doing and stuff. And I just think that that's why I said earlier, I really believe that more than anything, the substitution pattern is where I have questions. And I had questions on that last year, man, throughout the offense. This is where I kind of feel like I get it. If you're the position coach and all that kind of stuff, but I think that you need to go by who's doing better in team or whatever. I don't know that there's a perfect answer for it, but if they can play freshmen on defense because they're the best player at the position, they can do the same thing with these offensive guys, particularly when you start talking about Taylor Tatum